Rob Flax here. I play things with strings, I hit stuff, and I sing. And today we're going to answer an age-old question. Does pineapple belong on pizza? And maybe more importantly, does it belong on your pedal board?
It's Fuzz Fiddle with Flax.
Today we're taking a look at the Caroline Guitar Company Hawaiian Pizza. This is a really fun pedal I had the chance to plug into and try out and thought, I gotta have that. I want to play it for you, show you why I bought it, and talk a little bit about one of the features that this pedal has that not too many other pedals do, and that is voltage control. You can get a ton of different sounds by varying the amount of voltage you apply to a fuzz circuit. You can starve it, you can feed it, you can chew it, you can put pineapple on it, lots of different things. Let's open it up and take a listen. Signal chain. As always, I've got my violin with a Shirtler Stat V pickup going into the fuzz, going into the tone dexter, which is bypassed. That's going into my pedal board rig. Condor is on, adding a little bit of EQ and shaping for my bass tone. And there's a Crazy Tube Circuits compressor also on, just giving a little gentle hug. Let's hear the pedal. Right away at the jump, sounds pretty good with all the knobs set at noon. Let's talk about what those knobs are and what they do. The three knobs are labeled with a piggy, a pineapple, and a pizza. That could be cryptic, but it's nothing to be surprised or confused about. Unlike other fuzzes where you might have a tone control, there's that middle control, the pineapple knob, does something very special, and that's what makes this pedal unique. It controls the amount of voltage that the circuit is receiving. The pig knob is how much signal is going into the circuit. The output is the pizza knob, and that's how loud it is coming out. So let's leave the middle knob set in the same and play with what happens when you change the input and change the output. This is kind of a good demonstration of how versatile fuzzes can be just on one fuzz. Let's have a listen. Right away, there's a couple of interesting things happening. When I had the output gain medium, but the input gain cranked, it got very fuzzy. Nice and saturated, that's a good old classic fuzz. You hit the input gain loud enough and give it enough signal, it's gonna chop it up and fuzz it up. That's nice. But when I roll the input gain back, it changes how much signal is hitting the fuzz, and it doesn't get as fuzzy. It stays pretty clean. If you've watched my other videos, you may have seen the volume roll-off trick, cleaning it up. This pedal allows you to do that, no volume knob needed. It has this nice input knob, and you clean it up using that. So that's pretty cool. This does interact with the pineapple knob a little bit, and if you change the settings of that, you can get it even cleaner or slightly less clean. But just that's the first thing to know about the Hawaiian Pizza is turn the input down, turn the output up, and it's not very fuzzy. Do the opposite, and it's very fuzzy. Very versatile. Okay, now let's have a look at what happens with the bow. At that setting, with the low input gain and the high output gain, it behaves very much like a dynamic overdrive. Pretty cool. Okay, let's do the opposite. The fuzz is hitting so hard that the signal doesn't really sound very different pizzicato versus arco. It's just slammed against a wall and squished into a fuzz sausage. Very useful if you want to be switching back and forth between arco and be able to play some lines pizz, some lines arco. It almost sounds better for pizzicato in my opinion. I love playing with pizzicato. That's a reason to do this. You get sustain with pizzicato. One more time. There is, however, a little bit of noise coming through when you're not playing, and that is where the voltage control in the middle is really handy. And also kind of weird. Let's turn it all the way up and you'll see what happens first. Before we get to the voltage control, it's worth mentioning that for this violin and this pickup and this setting, input at 2 o'clock, output at 2 o'clock, sounds like a nice balance of both. There's a little bit of dynamics left, so if I play soft versus loud, it changes the signal a little bit, gives me a little more expressive control, but still pretty nice and fuzzy. Now that I've got those set at a place where I like them, let's play with the voltage control. When we turn it all the way up, the signal is getting all the headroom, which means that no matter what the input volume is, it's going to have a little bit more room before it starts to clip. So turning that up should increase the volume and make it slightly less fuzzy. That's pretty cool. Nice. So a little bit fuller, kind of a thicker, chunkier fuzz sound. All right, let's hear that with the bow. Nice. That's a really nice sounding fuzz. And in theory I could tweak for forever, but you get the idea. Let's do the opposite now, and something very unusual happens. When you starve a circuit of voltage and input, it starts to get sputtery and crispy and crackly in a way that some people describe as a Velcro fuzz. It creates sort of a gating effect that as it's not quite getting enough signal and it's not quite getting enough voltage, it's really struggling, and it gives this really sort of raw, interesting sound. I'm going to starve the voltage and turn that pineapple knob all the way down. There's a sentence. I'm going to starve the voltage now, turn the middle knob all the way down, and you'll hear what happens. It has a pretty dramatic effect on the fuzz circuit. Let's listen. All the way down, it's struggling to make a noise. I have to play really hard, and any signal that gets through gets just kind of farts out, but in a nice way. maybe not that farty. Let's bring it up from all the way down to maybe 9 o'clock, where it's still struggling, but a little bit more signal gets through. I like this sound a lot. Let's starve the input gain so it gets a little less input. And I'll compensate by raising the output knob, so it's still about the same volume, but the character has changed pretty dramatically. And with the bow, again, a nice flavor. It's ever so slightly different from if I just had the knob set a little bit higher. I'm going to starve the voltage a little bit more and see if I can't get more of that gated Velcro Fuzz sound. Now we got it. Okay, the input is healthy enough that when I play, it's gonna break the gate of the voltage being starved. So it'll sputter into existence and then stay fuzzy until I stop playing, at which point the sound just stops. Now normally when I have a fuzz pedal on and I'm talking, you'll hear it, right? But the gating, because the voltage is so low, means that when I'm not playing, nothing gets through, right? Have a listen. Not a lot of additional signal. That's a really useful thing for an acoustic violin using a fuzz pedal. Gated fuzz is a great tool for acoustic violinists trying to use fuzz. Normally, when you're playing loud on a stage with an acoustic violin, using a fuzz pedal, there's a high chance of feedback, especially when you're not playing. When you're playing, you can sort of control the sound, but when you stop playing, that's when you get a real risk of feedback. Not so with the gated fuzz. It chops off the signal so there's no feedback loop. Very useful. All right, let's hear what that gated Velcro sounds like. I was going to play with the bow, but listen to how it sputters out at the end of a note. Listen to the way it sort of crackles and folds in on itself and then burns out like a little smoldering ash. Those are good crispy crackles. Okay, with the bow. That's an inspiring sound. I really like this pedal, and it's so wild that you can go from full, beefy, throaty, woolly fuzz to this sort of crackly, scratchy, Velcro gated sound, just with some tweaks of the knobs. Very versatile. One more thing I'll mention about the Hawaiian Pizza that I really like. Some fuzz pedals that have this clean up when you roll off the volume knob trick, well, they're old and kind of primitive circuits, and they're really designed to be first in the signal chain. They want to see the guitar, so to speak. They are really designed so that the impedance coming out of a guitar is what gives it its sound. Now, if you've watched my other videos, you know that sometimes I struggle with getting this thing to behave properly if the fuzz pedal is working the wrong way, or if the pedal is later in the chain. In this demo, the Hawaiian Pizza is the first thing that I'm plugging into, but what if you want to have something before the fuzz? Maybe another fuzz, or some kind of pitch shifter so you're fuzzing out a low note, or, I don't know, some other effect in front. Most fuzz pedals, if you put something else before them, it will drastically change their sound, usually not for the better. Not so with the Hawaiian Pizza. It behaves itself and does the same thing no matter where it is in the signal chain. So this pedal is sort of bomb-proof in that sense. It's simple, the controls are really interactive, you can get a variety of sounds. Highly recommend Caroline Guitar Co. Hawaiian Pizza. It's worth a mention, this pedal comes in the reverse color scheme. I got it, I think, from Gear Hero in Florida. They do a lot of exclusive reverse color schemes. I don't know if they still have them, but check it out. If you want it in the original white and blue rather than blue and white, that's standard issue. But, you know, colors are fun. Thanks so much for watching. That's all for this one. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, leave a comment. Thank you to my patrons on Patreon, and let me know, does pineapple belong on pizza? See you next time. Turn that pineapple knob all the way down. Sounds like a weird fiddle tune. If you want to see more Fuzz Fiddle...